met you when you came to Warrenton for your meet and greet, and we were very impressed, needless to say. So now we have the pleasure of introducing you to this major group, this major civil rights group. And for all of you, this is Chief David Elliott. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm gonna try to make this the best I can. I've never been a great public speaker per se, even though I do teach advanced grammar. I'm getting better. So, just want to say good morning and thank you all for having me here today. It's a great pleasure to be here and be part of this. I wanted to take a moment to introduce myself. So my name is David Elliott. I was born and raised in Vance County, North Carolina. My mother was from Vance County, and my dad was from Okinawa, Japan. After the war was over, my grandfather come back here to the States, and my dad had a mother and I was raised here. So later on in life, I met my wife. We got 4 children together. One's 30 years old, and another out of the Marine Corps. We got a son that's in IT work, that's 28, and I had 2 children still at home. Built my home here at Ridgeway Warrenton Road. I've lived here for 5 years. I like it out here. It's out kind of away from things, and the people out here are great. Everyone kind of welcomed us in from the beginning, like giving us pies and cakes, and they even come over and gave us a honeysuckle bush, which I need to make that guy again because it died. I don't want to get enough taste of it. I think he lived in that brown house that looks like a igloo.
Ranch.
But I was going to tell him it died, and then I want to get another taste of it. I grew up in a family that was construction workers. I stayed right beside my dad until 2009 when he passed away. He got cancer early that year, diagnosed with form of cancer that took him away from here probably within 6 months. After that, I kind of looked in the paper. I said, I want to do something else in my life. And I looked and saw the Henderson Police Department was hiring. So I was hired. I worked on the officer for 14 years of my career. And I saw in the paper where Warrenton was looking for a chief, and I said, maybe this is my time to try to move forward. My chief was like, yeah, I think you would do fine here. So I got this job, and I'm here today, and I'm very blessed to have the opportunity to serve the city and the county. The reason why I'm here today is to talk kind of about community policing. I'm a big advocate of community policing. Community policing to me is a philosophy that emphasizes a guardian mindset, wherein officers see themselves as part of the community they serve, working side by side with community members to create a safe, livable, and vibrant community. It asserts that a major goal of any law enforcement agency should not only be bring offenders to justice, but to actively improve the lives of everyone that lives, works, and visits in this community. During my tenure as an officer at the Henderson Police Department, I came to realize very early that without community trust and engagement, solving crime-related issues can be very difficult. I was a detective most of my career. I ran the criminal investigation division where we did usually 10 to 13 homicides a year in Vance County. And I knew that without the help of the citizens there, it was almost impossible sometimes to solve crimes without being engaged with the people that live around in your area you work. I think it's vital to get out in the community and just get to know the people you serve. When a community issue comes up, it's always good to give citizens the opportunity to provide input and problem solving. Some previous community policing projects I would like to bring here, and the one I love the most is Shot with a Cop. I'm always dressed as the Grinch every year at Walmart. You can see my pictures online for the last couple of years. Trunk or Treat. We usually do like a little Halloween, haunted house out of our trailer, and, the kids love it. Cook out with a cop, coffee with a cop, walk the beat, which I've always loved, because Chief Bear always, said that just the best way you get out of the community, you get out, you walk an area with a sign, you talk to people in that area. If you have any concerns or what, it can be addressed in and brought back, and we can have a meeting and try to figure out how we can fix the issues that were brought to our attention. Barbershop talk, I didn't do a lot of that in town. The chief did, and Chief Bear would go and get his haircut and have, barbershop talk, when it just for time to talk about community issues. I recently obtained a police chaplain. I don't know if anybody met him here. His name's Tony Perkins. He started his career out in California. He was I think he owned some venues and stuff like that. And I know you lived out in California.
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am, because I thought so. And this gentleman ended up, when he got into service, he worked in California for a while. He ended up coming here, when he got injured and, during his retirement. And he said, "Hey, I want to volunteer for you." I said, "That sounds good." I said, "What's your background?" He said, he worked with the military, doing the Reward Project in the USA, and he was a current chaplain. So I brought him on. He's helped me a lot by coming to all the community events. He's visiting all our local schools. He's volunteering as a mentor for troubled youth, and he's giving spiritual guidance if needed, because I know that's kind of a shaky subject in the school system. So if they ask for spiritual guidance for family or the children, he will give it. So he's a great asset to us. I've been working on getting crime stoppers established in Warren County. It hasn't took effect yet, but it will be going live probably around the time of our United Against Crime in September. They'll have a meeting. It's been the hardest thing I've ever done trying to get that here because of the paperwork and trying to get everybody on board. But I try to pick community stakeholders in different areas of the Warren County community to include Rebecca Harris, Corey Sunkenville, Aaron Askew, Tony Perkins, which is the president, Elisa Rodwell, and Ellen Richardson. Miss Ellen is, she has an illness right now, she's fighting, so I guess everybody keep her in prayers. I'm also working to implement a community watch program with monthly meetings to address concerns in my area. My thought process is to split the town into 4 different areas, and we'll have an opportunity to come up on your day and time to meet with me or my officers, just to address concerns. With all this being said, at the end of the day, community policing to me is getting to know the people I serve in my community. I want to always come off as a genuine person that can be trusted. I want to gain people's trust. I want everyone to know that when they pick up the phone and call 911 in my area, that officer that shows up for my department is going to be professional and treat them with respect and dignity. I was always told that an officer's first interaction with a citizen will make a lasting impression on the department, which is why I will always strive for the impression to be a good one. Thank you all for having me here. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to ask me. But like I said, community policing to me is a big thing. I was telling Miss Virginia that when they tested me for captain, I was in investigations most of my career, and I did better in community policing block than I did the investigator block, which they always bring me up.
Okay.
Y'all had any questions for me about anything?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Does your department police, does your department police under the Constitution of the United States, or does it push the agenda of the Patriot Act that was passed in 2001?
So for me, I'm gonna go with the Constitution because that was written by our forefathers, and I believe that whatever laws are written that have been passed, I mean, it's my job obviously to enforce them laws in North Carolina and the government. And we got on a subject the other day, being a citizen about, my thoughts on some laws, and I said, I really don't want to get into that too much, but I also want to say that I do disagree with some things. I'm not going to sit here and lie for my opinion just like everybody else here. But at the same time, I really have no choice in the matter. But there is something called officer discretion. If it's something small enough and minute, and you can help somebody else, I mean, why not say, hey, what you did here today was not right. It was obviously illegal, and but I'm gonna let you off today because I feel like you need a second chance, and you don't need that on the record. And so there is also that part of it that I want to throw out.
I think you talk about, an inclusive community
Yes, ma'am.
where you're thinking of splitting the county and dividing it into sections so that every group would have an opportunity to meet with you, your officers, and to find out more about your vision
Yes.
as police chief. The question I have for you is, do you carry that same theme of inclusiveness in your hiring practices?
Yes, I've tried everything I've done. So far, I would like to have a mixed group of people. I believe in that. But I think we should have, it'd be great to have an African American officer. It'd be great to have, I have a Filipino officer right now. I hired a female recently. And I had other officers that are obviously Caucasian. But the way I was taught and growing up in this field of work is we need to have a well-rounded police department. And that is my vision, is to carry that on. And if anybody knows a gentleman or female that is a light employment there, they can come see me. Because I need one more.
Oh, good. Very nice. Officer.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I'm sorry, what were you speaking of here in Dr. Brown?
No.
What is the, average age of your officers and the longevity of their service?
So
On average?
right now, the average age of my officers are probably around 30.
Mhm.
But I'm always open. I have one officer that's 22, and you can hire an officer in DOT at 20 and a half. So I'm always open to, somebody's coming out of school. So I want to do a mentorship too, kind of going off to the side. But I want to do a mentorship where the young children school systems can kind of interact with us. If we want them to 30-minute meeting, a couple of questions and talking to them about what we do. And then when they get out of school, they're not being belong to what we prep them to come to, come to work with the department.
And this is unrelated to that question that I just asked, but, are you all, or do you do any kind of psychological evaluation before you hire the officers, or is there?
Yeah, so, when I come here, I change things to where I knew how, the way I know how it runs and the way I feel like it's supposed to be running. So it's a group out of the wall, it's called FMRT, and they're actually all over the state. And they do a total workup of an officer. It costs a little bit, but at the end, it's always a good practice, because I think that we can catch things early.
Right.
It'll be psychological, it would be their medical background. It also kind of tests you on the truthfulness, because it gives you a test. And then they've got what they call the F3, that is the officer's packet. It stays with them the rest of their life. they test against that. So you get called saying, hey, I didn't do marijuana ever in my life. But if you did marijuana and you set it on your F3, then it's gonna be a deception. And it's gonna tell me in the read back that that he was deceptive on these questions. And it also gives you a time to tell you that if they ask you a question, if it says, hey, you answer the question in 1 second, well, they ask you the question in 5 seconds, it kind of makes it where, hey, he's kind of trying to think, you know, do I want to change my answer or not? So that's what I'm used to seeing, and that's what I implemented here was on the FMRT for when I hired.
But question, Dr. George and then Ms. Rosen.
Well,
Let's outline the plan of what community policing should be for the town of Warrenton. And I was wondering whether or not that plan is based on a survey that you did of the citizens of the community in order for you to come up with that idea.
So, I guess I based the original plan off of, because one of the things I've done in, I was telling Mr. Jimmy, when I went and got my associate's degree, one of the things I was tasked with is to do a community policing project. And I used that data from the US, I guess, all across the United States as they as my model, I guess, to be able to do the community policing projects and stuff. But I'm also, I see what you're saying and what your question that I also need to look at the people here and their needs and how it's going to work here compared to, it might not work here like it worked in Vance County. But I'm also looking at that too. I want to tailor it to this area for our needs, not just what I learned in Vance County. So I'm still open to having to change stuff if I need to. Yes, sir.
Are you planning to establish a community advisory board to help you with your plan?
I wouldn't say a board per se. I'm still learning as a chief. I'm new. I just go off of what other chiefs have told me in the past, or you know, or what I learned when I was in like administrative officer management program at NC State. I did a semester there. So I'm still learning. I'm still trying to get my feet wet. But I just want to say this on that my door is always open to anybody and the people here or anybody else in the public that wants to come out and have a concern or wants to talk to me about something. Feel free to come in. It's always open any day. And you can call me and I will meet you somewhere and get called. It doesn't have to be in my department. So I do want you to know that part. But in the future, it's a possibility of the advisory board. I just right now need to figure things out. What I want to do.
My question, I live in the county, so I don't live in the town. But the boundary lines of the town of Warrenton is so wonky. I mean, the way that they were drawn is like really crazy. But my question is in relationship to the town of Warrenton boundary lines in the county law enforcement officers, how does it actually work? I recall I had spoken to you before about, I was at the senior center and I heard the gunshots and it was gunshots and it was gunshots. I'm like, wait a minute, we're so close into the city. How in the world can people be, shooting and having a shooting range? Because it sounded like it was a shooting range fire. And it just so happened an individual who lives in the town of Warrenton lives like 100 yards or 100 feet away from actually where the people who live in the county have established their property. And on their property, they have a shooting range. And in the county, what they're doing is legal. But in the town, it's illegal. But they're so close together. So how are you all working to resolve issues like that?
So I feel like I know the place possibly, where that's occurred.
Yeah.
And, the lady in the township is very angry about that. But my thing with that is, so we signed the MOU with the county, so me and Sheriff Branch have a memorandum where he can help me, I can help him. But at the same time, me and him have gained a relationship, knock on wood, that we're able to sit down together and talk and, come up with, brainstorm and come up with ideas to fix problems. And I think that's probably one that needs to be addressed because they're living so close to the town that if a stray bullet comes through there and hits somebody sitting in the backyard drinking a glass of tea or something, I mean, that can be good. And he probably needs to look at what kind of, what they call a burn, pretty much is up to deflect these bullets from, make sure they're not flying towards these houses in the city. But that's an open, that's something open I'm kind of looking at right now is how to fix that. And it probably needs to come down to me if the sheriff's good with it, going and talking to the gentleman and see if we can come up with a different way to do that, besides just shooting back there so close to the city limits.
Okay, well, do you know if the town officials meet with the county commissioners where they would develop a law or rule to govern such a situation as this?
I can't say for sure. I would hope it would. It's kind of a little bit out of my wheelhouse. I would hope it would because I think everybody needs to be able to communicate to try to fix issues. So I'm hoping that it's open communication. But if we ever meet again, I'll give you a definite answer, or you can call me or I can call you, and I'll let you know how it works.
Okay.
I'm just not 100% sure at this point. I was just hoping that they do communicate, because I think you need to be able to. If we have an ordinance here, I think the ordinance in the county council needs to mirror it a little bit,
Right.
and to a degree. I mean, did I come to? We got a problem with barking dogs sometimes in the city, and I told the lady that I talked to, I said, that's why I don't live in the city because I got 3 dogs, I got a pig, and I got 8 chickens, and I can get kicked out of the city in no time. So I don't want to, I'm happy to have the ordinance that the county has, but I don't agree with people just going out there shooting guns and all. You don't know where these bullets are going.
That's true.
So,
Then,
I had a.
It's true.
I'm sorry.
Then,
I'd like to know, do you have any kind of regulations in place as far as tattoos on police officers go? I've noticed that they're used sometimes as, intimidation for citizens, the tattoos, dark tattoos.
So it's, I'm not gonna lie to you, I have tattoos, but at the same time, I use my head when I got them tattoos. I said I was always gonna let them sleeve up.
Yeah.
My chief, his philosophy about it, and it's kind of along the lines of what you're saying, that he got something that, we had a gentleman had a Batman tattoo on his arm, on his hand, a vigilante. So he made him put a sleeve on because of it, because he didn't ask for permission. And he put it, so if there's something that's offensive that comes across, to me, that I think y'all, anybody would think it's offensive, won't make them at least wear a sleeve. And if they didn't wear a sleeve, then we're gonna have, other problems. So, and I need to ask, I would have asked before I had a tattoo, like they put on anyway, they were like, hey, chief, I didn't know you.
No, I just wanted to make a statement. I had a similar situation as, Miss Janet had here. I think it was last year or the year before. I heard shooting. I live right outside of town, immediately outside of town. And I heard shooting back there in those woods near where that new establishment where they play all that loud music back there. And so I called and I said, I hear shots. It sounded like they're right here near the house. And the officer did tell me something about, if they were armed there properly and it was outside of the area, something he mentioned to me. But anyway, he said to me, I guess the bottom line was that he couldn't do anything about it since it wasn't immediately in town, because I heard it back in the woods, back in the back of me in the woods.
What I would say to that is, he probably should have addressed it a little bit better, and if you get an answer like that, sometimes just call me directly, and I'll handle it, but he probably should have at least investigated it, and at least had a conversation with the homeowner that was shooting, if he could figure out who it was. Even though it's not in the city limits, I think you should at least have a conversation with him, like, hey, you know, we've got community concerns outside the city limits, but, you know, you're worried about gunshots.
But I don't care, you know, who it was, I just heard it in the woods, I heard the shooting in the woods. So.
Yeah, I don't know if he went in the woods and released. I don't know. Sometimes I don't want to do that either, but I got to, that's what I got to have to do.
Before
Thank you.
Mr. Hicks, we'll let this be the last question for today. If there are other questions, if you would give them to me in writing, I'll see that you get them all. And then you can have some other questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Because you can tell that this is a hot topic for us, and we could be here for a while.
I'm good with the community police, and I'm glad, I'm waiting to get stung.
And we're looking forward to having a strong relationship with the town.
Yes, ma'am, I'm enjoying it.
Very nice.
My question is, the town of Warrenton boasts a lot about there being no crime or near to no crime in Warrenton. But you mentioned that you're implementing Crime Stoppers. The town of Warrenton has also installed cameras that actually identify you coming into Warrenton, and they run your tag going into Warrenton and they ping you going out of Warrenton. What's the motivation for all of the surveillance? What is it that drives you or make you feel like Crime Stoppers is necessary in the city limits of Warrenton?
Okay, so for one, I just want to make sure we're understanding the Crime Stoppers. I created it. Well, I didn't create it. I brought it here and helped them get up off the ground. But it's all about the whole Warren County. It's Crime Stoppers of the Warren County, ultimately. So anybody in Warren County that, let's just use the murder that just occurred previously. I don't know a lot about it. I know they had protests yesterday, and I went to the protest and helped them get from there to other safely. If for some reason that was unsolvable immediately, and somebody had information, some people don't want to go forward and give their name and be like, hey, this is me. I saw everything. Some people don't want to do it because they're scared of retaliation. And I've seen it in town where I come from, because people will talk about, yeah, I saw him shoot such and such, and next thing you know, their house was shot at midnight, and they've got children inside, and they've got a lot to worry about. I mean, I wouldn't want to be sleeping on my bed and get one of my kids get injured over something that I said, but I mean, she done the right thing, but at the same time, you end up, getting retaliated on. So to me, it's about people can speak their mind without retaliation, because when they call in, they've got a chance to leave their name, or we can create a number if they want to get possibly paid for their own information. All the money that proceeds from Crime Stoppers all comes from community events. It's nothing profit, it's a non-profit organization. So the board that I created, they vote on what the information is and how, if it came to a crime being solved, then that crime get paid for however they choose to pay for. And the only thing that would be attached to that person is a number that they'll know. So technically, nobody would ever know these people's name.
So it's essentially an anonymous tip line.
Yes, sir. That's all it is. It's an anonymous tip. And I don't know the answers to everything. When I investigate something, you got evidence that you pick up, and you got, you go around and you talk to people and do a canvas. But if all that falls and the evidence doesn't come back from the lab to tie anybody with nothing, sometimes it takes community members to say, hey, I saw it all happen, you know. And that's pretty much, why I thought Crime Stoppers was important to lead here. And as far as the block cameras, so my thing about the block cameras, before I even belonged here, I had a couple of property damage instances where people were running into walls and damaging them or damaging property, and somebody says, hey, there's a brown truck. And it was at this time when it happened. So I'll go back and take my Henderson access to block. It's got all the block cameras across the United States of America, pretty much that's on the block. I can put in the description of that vehicle in whatever piece of the tag, and it comes back to any block camera that it come across at that time for me. And I was able to solve those crimes based off of it. Here, over the last few months I've been here, I've had a shooting that happened in front of me. That's still an ongoing case. That gentleman's in court with that now. And I had a trigger shooting that was not too long ago at Town of Warrenton, a local sports bars, which that was handled. I was able to get a arrest on that. But my thought process is hey, wonder if I can solve it quickly, and they give me a tag number. So I decided to get the block cameras in town on most of the outlets that are facing out of town. So when you come out of the town, that car hit the block cameras, and the car that comes out of town in any outlet. So if I need to search it and find the vehicle, I'm probably most likely going to find the shooting vehicle or who it was attached to it. That was my thoughts about it. Some people worry about, you know, privacy. I'm not into it just to, I've got rules behind it. And plus, block has rules that you gotta put while you're searching in a search box. And I'll be glad to show anybody that would like to come to the office and see it, because it's bought with, money from the town, so you have the right to at least look at it and see what it looks like. But you gotta put the reason behind it and what the investigation is. So I can go back and do an audit of my officers for accountability purposes. And if they're searching a girlfriend or something, you know, I'm gonna know about it, because it's not nothing to do with an investigation, or they're searching somebody else that doesn't have anything to do with the case. It's, I'm not saying things are foolproof, but it's things in place to keep stuff from happening that ain't supposed to happen.
Can I just ask you? We want to thank you, thank you for coming. I know that you have a question. I know that you have a song couple more things, but we are out of time. And you are out of time. And so I do encourage you though to write your questions down, and so that we can get them to Chief. And I know, just hearing you today, that you will respond.
Yes, ma'am.
And if necessary, we can invite you back.
Yep, maybe let's come back anytime. I enjoyed it. I actually did better than I thought.
You did great.
Great, Ruth. I appreciate you letting me come in. Now that the Juneteenth event is to 4 o'clock, if anybody would like to attend that. They say it's great. A bunch of vendors and music and stuff. So feel free to come by. I think the sheriff's speaking out there too today. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.